Canceled.
No, I think you got a phone.
Oh. All right, it's 11:10. 11:10, we'll call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda, we've got the consent agenda from February 22nd. The minutes of that meeting. And we also have the same consent agenda, the March 15th special meeting minutes. Those are both attached. I'll make a motion, we accept them as presented. Is there a second? Okay, a second. Any discussion on these, anything in these? All right. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda with the minutes of the two meetings, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. It passes. Okay. Next thing for us to approve, it'll be a quick meeting today, is the actual financial statements. There are two things left out. You'll notice on the statement, if you go to look at redevelopment, the downtown district, and/or it's got information, it's got a date, it's got a check number, it's got the amount of money. This is what we're kind of working through. Some of the hardships of after we get done approving something, then Dwayne will prepare a Board of Works voucher. And normally, sometimes, depending on how that works, the voucher will come to me, I'll sign it, I'll make a copy and scan it, put it into our files, and then I send it back. Sometimes Dwayne will have something here at this meeting, give it to me, I sign it, I don't get a copy of it. So at the bottom of this voucher, it tells you how it breaks down all the different groups. So in this case here, we had the lathe for the Career Center, and there were 3 or 4 different checkbooks it comes out of. So I did not have the Board of Works document, so I could not match it up. So anyway, you'll see there are some in here that have amounts of money. Dwayne got me that information this morning. So next time you see these financial reports, they'll be updated, but you'll notice on some of the pages, there's some dates, which usually I can take and add the dates together and try to come up with a number. Also had one today where it's like $1,500. We had 3 different things out there for $1,500. So I don't see we've got an ongoing problem where I see a check number, a date, and an amount of money. And I have no idea what that check number goes to. So we're going to have to come up with some kind of a system because it's I say which $1,500 thing that we approved is that for. I can't tell from my end because it's all I got is just a checkbook statement.
But the 23,000, the 3 of those checks added up to 23,000, which is the payment for the lathe.
Yes.
For the engine lathe that you approved for the
Yes.
Career Center.
Yes.
And then the other 2
But I
that he's
didn't
looking
have-
for is the
since I did not have this Board of
HWC.
Works document, unless I went back to the actual resolution, I don't have that. So I kind of work off of the Board of Works document, which is the last document that gets approved by City Council or whoever that is. Breaks it down as to what those all are on there. And now the resolution does also. So, I could have gone through every resolution, but as I say, oftentimes I'm getting this stuff at the very last minute and trying to put it all together. So, as it is. So anyway, I think we're going to have to figure out how to improve that process because we're now adding 3 more TIF districts to this. We're going to reduce one of them to consolidated. So it's just going to be a case where we need to figure out how how best, and I think sometimes we do the track. The crazy thing is with the resolution is nice because if I'm missing one, I can see there's a number missing. The voucher, I can't, if I don't have it, I can't tell I don't have it. So I'm gonna say, since I'm doing this at 1:30 last night, it's hard to, I don't want to wake you guys up at that time, but maybe, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, so I don't know whether it's something that, maybe I should turn the whole spreadsheet over to the clerk treasurer's office or something. I don't know if there's a better way, or somehow I get access to that checking account to see, I can bring that check up. That's probably something against state of board of accounts that the president of the board could have access to see something. I don't know. Anyway, so it all still balances. You will notice that I'm still showing Gateway and East End as separate now. We approved to have that changed, and we now have an account in here. You'll see in a minute. We get to the account statements. We have that checking accounts there to put both of them into. And has that been moved yet? Or?
Yeah, all the money,
Okay.
these have been closed, and now you have everything in your consolidated.
Okay, so
the
probably
totals that you have for your East End and your Gateway are now your totals for the consolidated.
So, in theory, next meeting, which will be the March statement, I will then have them combine. I'll combine the two together and say, and that's so anyway. So for now, we'll make a motion to accept the financial documents we have as they are. And is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any other further discussion on the current ones? All right. I will, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The financial statements pass. Now, let's go to, the next thing is the discussion of the new financial reports. And that's the new things you've got here. So these are the actual bank statements we get. And what has kind of changed is the smaller packet, you'll see it says LV TIF Construction. So that's Lexington Village TIF Construction. There are 4 TIF funds, there are 4 banking accounts for that project out there. So my thought is we probably want to have, like the report you're looking at here, there we have, there's a summary page that shows you here is downtown, here is industrial park, here's going to be the new combined. We're going to be adding to that the Junction Mall and the Salee Dash Hotel. By the way, I think we misspelled Salee in the bank statement. We've got it spelled as Sulsai. I think it's just Sulai, I think it is. Is it Salee? Right. So I think we have to take one of the S's out of that.
We can get it changed.
Yeah.
That's not hard to do.
I just don't want the State Board of Accounts to discount us because of misspelling. Okay, so anyway, this first packet we have to kind of decide. My thought is, I was looking to John Michael for banking advice on this, but my thought is we need to have 2 separate groups. One of them is all the active TIF districts. So, and that's in the second packet, we will now have industrial park, downtown, the combined, used to be East End and Gateway, the Salee Hotel, the Junction Mall, and the new Lexington Village. We will have 6 different TIF districts. Now, I don't know whether, and we may need to ask Baker Tilly or somebody, when we start dividing this stuff up, is that residential TIF district different than a commercial TIF district? So if we start saying, take a percentage out of each one of these districts, does that is a residential matter from a commercial TIF district? And I don't know if that's so. In other words, so do we need to have these 6 spreadsheets that then summarize themselves, and then also look at the budget, and also look at what we've set to come out of those funds, or should it be the commercial ones and then have the residential standalone, and then we'll have the bond as a whole different thing. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. That's what I think so too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's something we can address today, because we have a call with Baker Tilly at 2:00, so
Okay.
that's something we can.
Well, it's something that, again, I just don't know. I mean, we're not going to see much revenue out of the hotel mall and the Lexington Village for quite a while until you have something actually, until you have some homeowners. We're probably a couple years off from that, so it's not going to be a gigantic, it's going to sit as a nothing for now. Because we start thinking about how do you want to split these things. Okay, here's this project at the Career Center. Let's take a percentage out of all 6 of these groups. Somebody says, wait a minute, that's a residential district again. So we'll ask that question to them, I
I think
guess.
the only one you will not want is the residential.
Okay, keep it separate.
The SIFs are established to create more economic development. The residential SIF isn't. It's mainly to put off your boundary of this residential project. And we're using that money to pay back the bonds. I really wouldn't.
It kind of supports,
The other ones you can pull into the percentage because
Yeah.
it's just money that's being generated, whatever.
right, okay.
I think that.
That was kind of my gut feeling also, because I just think, I mean, it is kind of a secondary player in economic development. In our case, it's going to be a while, but there again, as I say, we had some questions on sidewalks and facades, so if that's the case, then, this thing, so we can ask them a question today. Then the second part is the grouping of the new ones. We've got the bonds, which we've got the TIF construction, the debt service reserve, bond interest, and bond issuance expense. And I don't know whether on these, I mean, obviously, at some point in the road, construction, while they're getting the infrastructure done, there'll be a lot pulled out of that account. So these are 4 bank accounts. I don't know if we want to, as a board, have force, like right now, we have each of these different TIFs is a, in my world, a spreadsheet. And then over here, I combine all those onto a summary, so you can see a summary. I don't know if we want to have this bond be the same kind of format, we can have each one separate, or we might be able to do them all on one page, just have different sections. And here's the issuance, here's the interest, here's reserve. Again, I don't know. I mean,
Well, your issuance account will basically be done as soon as I get Kelly paid out of it. The S&P's been paid out of it, which doesn't show on here. So virtually, there's only going to be, I think there'll be about $4,000 left in that account with no expenses left that I know of to come out of. So that account should be basically finished
right.
for your use. And then you're looking at, when you look at the interest payment and the reserves, those will only be used a couple times a year as we make those payments.
That's what it says.
So-
I don't know if we're going to have it be, obviously, for the next 5 years, the State Board of Accounts is going to want to see the details of these checking accounts, whether they've got any activity anymore or not. I don't know whether we want to try to have it be, as I say, like, right now, each of these spreadsheets gets balanced by the bank statement. I could combine them into one and I could still balance them off of, I don't know. So probably doesn't make much difference, really. It's just that when you're printing this stuff out, it's like, you get this financial report, it's,
All I know is the 4 accounts were requiring bonds. We have to have 4 accounts. How you want to show it, I guess. is what I-
well, you know what, maybe I should keep them separate. Because then when they become inactive, we just don't, it shows a summary, has the balance of a 0, but we're not printing that one out each month, just, I don't know. We'll let Bill and John Michael get together and, well, I guess you're an old banker too. The 3 guys can get together,
I would keep them separate. Just-
keep separate, talking to the other ones.
We have a standing contract where we pay the billing by the year.
Right.
I would, but
Provides consulting services like this.
The Baker Tilly? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
they're paid, in fact, we just paid that invoice, first part of that invoice, I think, in January. It's either January or February meeting, I can't remember which. Their invoice came through for was there a presentation in February?
I don't remember.
Because I think it was right after that meeting that we were invoiced for them and we paid them already. So, and they're on contract for a contingency for so much money. I don't remember what it is for RDC, but I know it's more than enough than what we ever use.
Might be good to ask Andy if all the RDCs that he works with, who has a system
Right.
tracking.
They have told me before that our spreadsheets are actually pretty decent compared with, they're used to stuff scratched on the back of a legal pad or whatever.
I think where it gets complicated is you're trying to reconcile a checkbook.
Correct.
I'm not aware of any other boards that reconcile checkbooks,
Right.
lay boards.
Right.
So maybe that's where the confusion comes in.
Well, I'd say it also is kind of interesting. I got thinking about it. I mean, they did an audit of the city. We got drawn into that. And say, normally, like my experience with State Board of Accounts at the school board is, they'd bring the president of the school board in there and you're sitting there while they're giving you their breakdown or whatever. In this case here, maybe we don't have any business doing this maybe these spreadsheets should be owned by you guys because they're depending on whatever I do to whether you're on the straight and narrow. So it's kind of interesting there on that too, as to whether we've kind of, when we first started, the spreadsheet, when they started, Scott Crowd just kept it, so he could just kind of internally for himself keep track of what's been paid, what hasn't been paid. And I've taken it to something a whole different with having budgets and stuff tied to it and that kind of stuff. So we can also see if the State Board of Accounts approves of, you got a layperson, a non-paid layperson managing the finances and then you're responsible for whatever I do, good, bad, or other. So anyway, we can talk about that too. So, okay, for now, I will just kind of take the information. The last thing I had on here was, we talked before about the interest rates on these bond things. Have you looked into that?
Yeah, we can move them. In fact, all the checking accounts have now been moved into interest rate. Yeah.
Okay, because I know they're giving us 0.6% on this bond stuff. So we got $73. We had $1 million in deposits, and they gave us $73, whereas we're getting $500 or $600. Well, here we got $3,000 out of our industrial park for interest for 1 month. We're getting $70, so they're giving us 2.02% interest on the industrial park, but they're giving us 0.6% of interest in the other one. So that will hopefully get us into. That'll be pretty substantial numbers to have us fudge while that's being done. So.
So is
Okay.
that money market?
Pardon?
They moved to money market?
Yeah, so that should give us,
Money market has a law that you see 6 transactions a month. You won't have that with these bonds.
no, because I think F and K will be the only people who are paying the construction stuff, and they aren't going to draw every week. They'll want to draw probably once a month or maybe twice a month, I don't know. Okay, all right, so for now, that gives us some, I want to make sure we did that because it's pretty substantial money that we're not getting our hands on. So we like that, and I say, it probably makes Bill's point's interesting, but really, the purpose of these things is really kind of to balance against these bank statements. So potentially keeping them all having their own separate spreadsheets, if you needed to, say, he's right, I have to go through and balance each spreadsheet against each bank statement. And you say, as we gotten 3 or 4 or 5 different distributions coming, I don't know if I should show more detail about what percent on each bank statement it is. You can kind of see what day it is. I had one case where they cashed like 3 of your checks, not the 4th or whatever, so then that kind of
You will
screws
never
up.
find a successor to your chair.
Uh,
Keep going.
Well, since we changed mayors and city council, we can all be out. We have annual terms, so this is like every other job you can do in this, like when, Dwayne, you get your job. Oh, be the treasurer, be great. And you come in and say, I gotta do what? Okay, all right, we'll set that aside. I just had a line item here. I've had a question from a city councilman about the Chase Davis project and where we're at and what's going on and da-da-da-da. So I thought maybe I'd have Bill have some update as to where we're on the due diligence.
There's a lot of things going on to work through before we would ask you for money to buy it. The big one is the annexation. I've had several conversations with Baker Tilly, because you have to have a fiscal plan for annexation. And then I've also talked to Bose McKinney, and basically, we have the assurance that, yes, we would have absolutely no problem annexing that piece of property. And I got the terminology of why that is, but it could take from anywhere from 5 months to a year, depends on if we get any obstruction from the county. They can't stop us, but they can delay it. And the reason they can delay it is because they own the right-of-ways. And when you annex, it used to be when you annex, you didn't have to get the right-of-ways, and then they just, so you take this good piece of property, and then you leave the problem to the county. Well, now you have to take in the right-of-ways and maintain them. So if this annexation goes forward, the city would be responsible for north of the property, which is Chase Road, and east of the property, which is Davis Road, and most likely the roundabout. That's kind of in question right now. So the city folk that would take care of that stuff have been made aware if this moves forward. Maintenance, snow removal, upkeep would be a city situation, not county anymore. Good thing is the roads are pretty new. Chase is very new. So that's out there. We've been assured that's not a problem. Actually, today, there's geotechnical work being done on the property. Alts and Witzik, who you
Gave money to.
approved, are doing multiple soil borings around the property today to determine, hey, could we build on this thing if we needed to? Jacob Pomasaw has spearheaded the Phase 1 environmental, so that's in the works through BCA. We're also doing that wetland determination. That's in the works with the same company doing the geotechnical work. As you know, our favorite rule, you have to have 2 appraisals for everything. So the second appraisal's been ordered. We're waiting on that. With that, we're probably not going to make the April 15th deadline, which is no big deal. We would just request an extension. And if all those, we renegotiated the farm lease, so the farmer will farm this year, but we, upon purchase, will get all the revenue from that lease. It's approximately $11,000. So things are in motion. If the geotech work and wetland and Phase 1 and the appraisals all come back where they need to be, then we'll be coming in front of you to, you guys will be casting your vote if we want to buy this thing or not.
And Logansport Utilities has also agreed to,
They have said that
if it gets annexed and,
they can get utilities to the place, no problem. The whole who's paying for it piece, because this project isn't like Lexington Village. We're not going to create this infrastructure. We've had talks with Greg Toth. He's looking at some stuff around there to see volume. Obviously, the more you could do, the better. But I don't want to get too much into that other than you can get the stuff there. We don't know a cost, and we don't know who that would be paying for it. But our only due diligence is to make sure that you can get the stuff there. And
so, yeah, so we wouldn't get to the point where we annexed it out, purchased the land, and then LU says, we're not doing it. So we are assured that if somebody pays for it, the utilities can
I have been told, unless I'm wrong, Bob, if somebody pays for it, LMU can do it.
do it. Yeah.
All right, that,
Bill, the farm lease that you've got, when that money comes in, does that go to RDC, to a specific fund, or does it go to the general fund of the city?
the contract agreement will be with RDC, so I'm not sure yet. This is all assuming we buy
A
it.
new check.
Right, I understand. I was just asking ahead of time so I could.
I don't know.
Add a new checkbook.
anticipate.
Another spreadsheet for Mike. I would assume RDC, but not the general fund. But I don't have those specifics.
Okay.
Where is that nearest tap at?
I don't know.
What's that?
Where's the nearest stop at?
I think it's close to Area 5. The electric's all over there, so that's not a problem, but water and wastewater, I think, is down by Area 5.
Like, you should pay for it
Or not.
Well, I will
then.
say,
I mean, for later on, I mean, they're gonna be collecting money for a long time.
Yeah.
Way past your time.
you better hurry up. I will say that I thought was in some meeting I was at, and Greg Toth was there, seemed very positive that he understood that they've got X number of customers now, and the only way for them to get more money is to add more customer base. Now, again, what's the investment you put out front to get a, then pay them back for 30 years or something like that, then that's probably not worth it, but, so anyway, okay, so it sounds like that everything is.
A lot of stuff rolling, it'll be coming in soon, so, a big one right now would be the geotech work. And if there's any wetland stuff that says you can't build in these certain areas because there is a creek going through there, that could take out some lots that we would need. But, where we're at.
Okay, great. Anything else that you got on the economic updates?
We just met, so I don't have much. Just to let you know, we did have the grand opening of the hotel, which you guys were a big contributor for. Last week, they had 88 of the 93 rooms used.
Wow.
So it
Jeez.
didn't take long. It's very well catered to a long-term stay. That's what home to suites are. Obviously, contractors are a big piece of that already. They're seeing a lot of Tyson executives and things like that. So yeah, 88 out of 93. It's a beautiful facility. If you go online, you can see the rates are, as of yesterday, I saw 130. Moved the bar down on rates, which is good. Holiday Inn still maxed out. So with that, we have hotel developers knocking on our door. So we've had talks with some, and hopefully there's an update soon on that. But we're kind of a hot market right now for hotel with stuff going on. Next thing, your next meeting is on April 5th. It's a special meeting at 1 o'clock.
It was April 5th.
I think it's April 5th.
At 1 o'clock,
Suzanne had that as the special meeting.
It is. April 5th at 1 o'clock is our special meeting. Contractors, the RFPs are out for the parking lot contractors for Riverside, and they have until noon on that same day. We had our pre-bid construction meeting yesterday at my office. We had 5 different contracting companies there. So there's a lot of interest, a lot of questions for Crossroads engineers. But the bids are out, specs are out, and they have until April 5th at noon. So I would expect several bids for you guys to look at.
Do you have any idea how long that meeting will last?
You say it's at noon?
All it is opening the sealed bids and then take it under advisement.
10 minutes.
So, I mean, 'cause
It should be.
somewhere at 2 o'clock, so that won't be a problem.
It's up to your guy to your right, but it should be a 5-minute.
As I said.
I mean, unless somebody has an action item that has to take place on April 5th, but it should be literally opening bids, reading the summary of them, take it under advisement, because you really can't make a decision on the fly like that.
Okay.
Something you guys were contributors to, the Fairview Park Playground ribbon cutting is tomorrow. It's a pretty cool thing. It's a city collaboration with the schools and some grants. So tomorrow at 11, unfortunately, it's supposed to be raining, but we're still having it. So tomorrow at 11, if you can make it. And just to put on your radar, I was at a council meeting Monday night, and the Dykeman Park Clubhouse campaign group gave a presentation to city council. There wasn't a specific ask, and city council is looking at it, but your name was mentioned also, so, of their list of people to talk to. So if you have a Brad Rosie or a Chad Higgins or a Michael Bowditch come to you, or they've talked to several already, but just put that on your radar. That's all I have.
On that same note of city council, I had a councilman also asked me about if we were involved with the project out at the stone quarry. I said no. So in case sometimes you think something's happening behind you before you hear about it, we have had no asks from anybody about that France stone property that someone's interested in, so.
East End?
It did so.
Yeah, you're talking about the East End, right?
There was 10 investors
Yeah.
that invested in it. Something's getting ready to happen big.
I've heard rumor, if you look at the records of it, it's the group out of Kokomo that I believe owns Barriott, the fiber company. I've heard things that's recreation or who knows, but they paid about just under 2.7 million. It was listed for 4 million. So I'm not sure what it'll be at this point, but it's well out of your jurisdiction. It's way east of town. But yeah.
Yeah, but we're not
We'll
involved.
see.
We're not involved at this point in time.
Be another TIF district.
And I
There's going to be a lot of
saw,
money coming
Yeah.
I've
in.
seen stuff on the internet saying, you know, we are short-sighted for not buying it. It's like 2.7 million, are you kidding me? Yeah, Chase and Davis is enough for us.
Yeah, that's going to be, it's going to be big. It definitely bring a lot of people into town.
Yeah. So, okay, I think, any public comments? No? Any board member comments?
Nope.
I would say one thing, I attended the mayoral, whatever it was, at McHale last night, which had all the candidates out talking, future candidates round table, or whatever they called it. And I want to say, the people that are in this room, Dave and Bill and Jacob and Dwayne, I notice these political campaigns, there's a lot of whoever's in power at the moment's not doing anything, no vision, blah, blah, blah. And I have to say, I work with this group of people, I am overly impressed at how many things, and then when the current mayor said something about, because the pandemic got started late, I'm thinking, oh God, he's right. I mean, a lot of stuff's been done like in 2 years, which is nutty. And I often refer to it as drinking through a fire hose. It may seem like the hose is bigger than that now so I start listening to something and I say, and again, it's interesting. I don't know what our role is, but I've noticed the same thing when I was on the Parks Board when Mayor Martin came into office, and the Parks Board didn't ever have him come in to see what their 5-year plan was. And in hindsight, now I'm thinking that's kind of stupid, because he has his own ideas of what they ought to be doing, and no one ever told him how you spent, big money for these kind of survey companies to do this stuff, this 5-year master plan, not to share that with the incoming mayor is pretty stupid. And I think the same thing, I'm surprised not to see a bunch of these mayoral candidates and city council guys sitting in here, because I don't think they really understand what's going on. And which is the beauty of the whole thing. How you got your job, Dwayne? Hey, you'd be great, Dwayne. Just a little number work. And so I'd say I am just overly impressed with the time I've spent. I've been on this board for a long time as a school representative, and then as a regular member. I'm just thankful for you guys that are here, and I say and there's no way in those. They give people like a 2-minute comment to a question, and it's like, man, you look at the number of properties, and we're just talking about that new hotel. Who would ever thought we'd have a suite hotel that's 88% capacity, in Logansport, Indiana, because we have a lot of people, you would know that. The mall, and some of these guys are talking about, I first talked about them all 14 years ago, but the fact is, we've now got it to where it's happened. And you can talk all you want to. And I say, I want to I'll compliment Bill Cuppy right here. I remember back in the day when Skip Cooker was here and people said he was God's gift to economic development. But I knew Skip. I mean, Skip was good. But Skip is not as meticulous as Bill is. This having your I's dotted and T's crossed at the right amount of time. I mean, he's telling us, okay, April 5th, you're going to come and do this, and then this is going to happen. It goes to city council next, it comes back to you. You know, I appreciate that because I don't, you know, and that's not my wheelhouse of all the I's being dotted. I'm kind of like, give me a shovel, let's go dig. So I appreciate what you guys, all you guys in this room have done, and in this board too. I mean, we've gone through a lot of stuff, but I say it in some ways, I got through that meeting with the mayor candidates. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. I mean, they don't, you know, and they can sit there and say, we got no plan for housing. Well, we got 54 we're trying to get done here, but we got these 5 steps that you have to take. And I find it's awful easy to be critical of things when you don't really know what's going on. At the same time, as soon as you start mentioning this stuff, and they say, well, why didn't you, when all the details, because we're trying to figure out whether we got wetland problems, we got to figure out, you know, and they're also debating things such as, you know, people, you know, you shouldn't do Chasing Davis, you shouldn't do this and that. On the school board, they bought that land out there where they're at like 30 years ago. Haven't used it until now. The time came, the stars aligned and the time came right. It's a beautiful school, and in the world of schools have kind of changed to where it used to be you had, you know, K through 5 in one building. Now they found it's better to have K to 4 and have 5, 6 in another building and have 7, 8 in another and have high school in another because the world's changed. So their forethought is good there. I don't see personally, I mean, yes, it's expensive to have this Chasing Davis, but I think it makes sense because of the annexation possibilities and the possibility to build more houses. So I think that we're being foresighted here. And I say, it's going to be an interesting campaign. There's like 800 candidates. And, you know, the one guy doesn't want to spend any money at all, which is interesting. I mean, it's like, oh, wow, you know, okay, here we go. So again, I'm just appreciative, you know, I'm going to say our positions are all at whether the city council and the next mayor wants us, we all could be gone. But I do appreciate everything that Dwayne does and your staff. I appreciate Bill and Dave and the whole city council and Jacob and the administration and Kelly for coming and listening to this stuff, making sure we don't take the wrong step. But there you go. So anyway, and I say you know, there's no other direction it can go than the mudslinging has to start soon between these candidates because, you know, I say there's so many of them to say that, you know, you got bad vision. I am pretty impressed just personally when you look at the motel and Culver's and Wendy's and all the stuff that's happened, to be able to say these guys aren't doing anything. It's hard for me to accept that because to me it's been like just trying to track the paperwork for me has been gigantic, and that's because a bunch of stuff's going on. Back in the old days, we used to give money back to the school taxing districts because we had no request for anything. And we were lucky to build a sidewalk or something like that. So anyway, thanks to all of you. And I say, you know, and when we have these special meetings stuff like that, I appreciate you doing that. All right, that's nothing else for anybody else? More comments? No? We'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Because I took it off.
Well,